Hey everyone! Welcome back to Legal Lens Zimbabwe, the channel where we make legal theory less boring and more binge-worthy. Today, we're diving into something that sounds like it could cure insomnia: law and economic development. But wait, don't click away. I promise, this isn't your usual death by PowerPoint lecture. We're going to make this fun, relatable, and maybe just a tiny bit controversial. Just a disclaimer. Do not quote me in your exam or research paper unless you're ready to face academic annihilation. Some of these statements are dramatic, like big truck energy dramatic. But we'll explain, we'll shade, and we'll understand. Let's get into it. So what is this movement? The term law and development emerged and gained significance after the Second World War, when a group of scholars, practitioners, private foundations, and aid agencies in developed countries made efforts to adopt laws and legal practices from developed countries, particularly the United States, in order to assist in the economic and social progress of developing countries in the Third World. Well, imagine a bunch of well-meaning scholars and aid agencies after World War II thinking, hey, let's take all our fancy Western laws and sprinkle them over developing countries like legal seasoning. Boom. Development. Sounds noble, right? Wrong. Welcome to the first law and development movement. Born from modernization theory, shout out to Walt Rostow, this movement basically said, if you just adopt our capitalist legal systems, your country will thrive like ours. Spoiler, that didn't work. Because society isn't a microwave dinner and laws aren't one size fits all. Maxwell Chibundu said it best. This movement needed to stop copy-pasting and start paying attention to local context. Preach. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is the second law and development movement. It resurfaced in the 1980s and 90s after the fall of the Soviet bloc. And guess what? This one was all about neoliberal reform. Translation? Let's shrink the government, deregulate everything, and privatize like there's no tomorrow. And again, the result? Mixed at best. In some countries, it was a hot mess that actually made people's lives harder. Yang Shikli cite an example of the devastating economic outcome of the market shock therapy in Russia, the economic emergency experienced by many Latin American countries adopting neoliberal policy prescriptions in the 80s, and the serious economic recession in Asian countries resulted from the neoliberal measures imposed by international financial institutions to address their financial crisis in the 90s. Reformers in the second movement failed to adopt lessons from the earlier law and development movement. Why? Because you can't just apply economic theory like a beauty filter and hope it fixes everything. Enter the third movement, our, hopefully, wiser, more humble era. Here, law isn't just a tool for development, it's part of development itself. This era says, development isn't just about money, it's about people, rights, freedom, sustainability. You've probably heard of the Millennium Development Goals and now the Sustainable Development Goals. They include the rule of law as a target, and for good reason. You might be asking, what is development? Great question. The substance of development and its focus have changed over time. In the 50s and 60s, development primarily meant economic growth or improvement in national income, reflecting efforts to relieve populations in developing countries. Let's break it down like a boss. 1. Development as economic growth. Think GDP, GNI, World Bank income classifications. If you're making $12,000 plus a year, congrats, you're in the high income club. But dividing GDP by population reveals shocking stuff, like how the US is way richer per person than China, even if China's total GDP is huge. 2. Development as poverty reduction. Enter the multidimensional poverty index. It's not just about money, it's about whether people have water, education, electricity. FYI, the global poverty line is now $2.15 per day as of 2022. Ethiopia versus Malawi. Both have serious poverty challenges, just expressed differently depending on whether it's MPI or IPL. 3. Development as freedom. Amartya Sen, We See You, It's not just, do you have money? It's, do you have choices? The World Bank's Comprehensive Development Framework, CDF, 96, and the SDGs 97 promoted by the United Nations also encompass this holistic view of development. A short lifespan, poor health, or lack of political voice. Less freedom. 4. Sustainable development. Green GDP is a thing, measuring growth without wrecking the planet. Inspired by the Rio Summit, the Paris Agreement, keep temps below 2 degrees Celsius, and those oh-so-glorious SDGs. My colleague is going to finish up with the next segment just to keep things fresh.
Let me take the baton from here. Development as happiness. Bhutan, the real MVP, said forget GDP. Let's measure gross national happiness. The Gross National Happiness, GNH, Index is a unique philosophy introduced by Bhutan's fourth king, Jigme Singye Wangchuk, in the 1970s. He famously declared that gross national happiness is more important than gross domestic product. This concept emphasizes a holistic approach to development, prioritizing well-being and happiness over purely economic measures. The GNH Index is built around 4 key pillars: sustainable and equitable socioeconomic development, environmental conservation, preservation and promotion of culture, good governance. These pillars are further divided into 9 domains, such as psychological well-being, health, education, cultural diversity, and ecological resilience. The index uses 33 indicators to measure happiness comprehensively. UN co-signed it. 9 domains. All vibes. Critics say happiness is flaky, but honestly, don't we all just want to be happy? Then there is another perspective. 6. Development as a colonialist project. This is the deep cut. Some scholars argue that development assumes Western standards equals the ideal. But isn't that imperialist? Who decides what the good life looks like? Maybe a society doesn't want 5 Starbucks on every corner. Narrow view says law equals economic efficiency. This approach emphasizes the direct role of legal institutions in fostering economic growth. It often focuses on specific legal frameworks, such as property rights, contract enforcement, and corporate governance, which are seen as essential for economic transactions and investments. The narrow view tends to prioritize efficiency and predictability in legal systems to support market activities, things that make capitalism go vroom. Broad view says law equals part of society. This approach takes a more holistic view, considering the interplay between law, culture, politics, and social structures in shaping economic development. It acknowledges that legal systems are embedded within broader societal contexts, and that factors like social justice, equity, and human rights also play a crucial role in sustainable development. Includes culture, politics, social justice, human rights. Recognizes law can't fix everything unless it fits with local values. Law and economics. This looks at the small-scale impact of laws on individual transactions or businesses. For instance, it might analyze how introducing new contract laws can reduce disputes between 2 companies, making their agreements more efficient and saving costs. Law and economic development. This focuses on large-scale outcomes, such as how national trade policies or tax laws can promote economic growth or address inequality. For example, a government may enact tax incentives to encourage foreign investment, which boosts job creation and income distribution across the country. In short, law and economics equals micro level. Will this law help businesses save money? Law and economic development equals macro level. Will this law help nations grow, redistribute income? Law and society equals social impact. How does this law affect real people in real life? So yeah, law and economic development isn't just some dusty concept. It's political, it's philosophical, it's sometimes absurd, and it's definitely worth understanding if we care about building better societies. What do you think development should look like? Is it freedom, money, happiness, or just a life without load shedding? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your classmates, friends, or that one cousin who always argues in the family WhatsApp group. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay legalish.